succeed. I am now going to move into our program, our educational session, where we have a guest speaker, Srinivas, KM, DTM, is a John Maxwell certified trainer and coach, particularly in leadership culture and teamwork. He is also a DISC trainer. We'll have him explain that a little bit, and a certified virtual presenter. He joined Toastmasters in 2015 and is the district table topics champion for 2019. He has served in various roles from club to district. He's currently serving as immediate past District 102 director. For our timer, I just wanted to make sure we have your cues for you, Srinivas. We have you down for a 30-minute session. It is 20 minutes speaking and 10 minutes Q&A. When would you like the green, yellow, and red?
As the timer mentioned, 60, 18, 20.
And Ashwin, if you would not mind, I don't think we're going to pin you, but if you could raise your hand in the reactions, it will allow you to pin you to the first box on everyone's screen. Therefore, you can see it. Srinivas, can you see
Yes,
the timer?
I can see.
Yes.
Yes, I can see.
Then please help me welcome Srinivas with Impromptu Speaking.
Thank you so much, Susan. Good morning from Malaysia. Yes, I am coming, and thank you so much, Mary, for inviting me. I'm joining you from Malaysia, but originally I'm from New Delhi, India. Living in Malaysia for about 18 years now. I think it's about the same time Mary has not been in Malaysia forever. Now, this morning, I want to share something from my experience, and later we're going to have a Q&A as well to those who want to ask questions. This is what I believe about impromptu speaking. It's about speaking without script. So I call my session as speechless to scriptless, because very often in our lives, we get opportunity to speak to people, and when they ask questions, we get blank, we go blank. And a few minutes later, we think, I know the answer. I wish I would have said this. As somebody said, there's a speech we want to do, the speech we do, and the speech we wish we have done. And that happens every time when people come to impromptu speaking. And what I'm going to share is purely from what I have learned being in Toastmasters over the last 8 years, as I joined in 2015, apart from the people I've learned in Toastmasters and how it has impacted my personal journey or my personal career as well. So when I joined Toastmasters, I was into oil and gas industry, managing projects, a lot of technical stuff, more towards management and all. But deep down, I had desire to speak and present better. How many of you have attended technical trainings? Just a simple raise of hands. Technical trainings, right? And you know that they are very boring. They are literally boring. You go for a day, hours and hours and hours, and you're sitting and the guys are going on drawings and this and that. It's boring. And one of the things I learned was when sessions are boring, people lose interest. And when you ask questions, sometimes answer is very long-winded. And in those experiences, for me, attending those technical trainings, I learned two important crucial things. One thing is the ability to adapt to the person who's speaking and speak impromptu as something in an interesting way to gather their attention at the same time, making sure we make our point in less than 2 minutes. And that's what table topics. That's one of the sessions I've always enjoyed in table topics since I've attended Toastmasters. So let me share a little bit about what happened. In about 2015, when I joined Toastmasters, I wanted to compete in a contest. In Toastmasters, we have contests. But for some reason, I was chosen to serve as an area director. And for 2 years, I was a district officer, which doesn't allow me to compete. 3 years later, I competed. I won the club level. Great. I won the next level. Great. Then I won the division level. Can you believe? First time trying, and I win the division level, which has 400 people. And I'm at the district finals of District 102. Our district has about 3,000 members. Being the top 7, It's an amazing feeling. And I was there in the holding room, waiting for my turn. And I was excited about it. And I know there were some experienced people there, some new people there, some friends, some I didn't really know them. And we all were waiting. And now there's one senior Toastmaster who said, it's okay, relax. And I couldn't. I wanted to win. It was my turn. I was given a topic. It took a while for me to think. And guess what? I spoke something. Told the story, told the code, told different things. And I came down and said, nah, that wasn't fun. And yes, that's exactly what happened. It wasn't fun. I was neither third place, nor second place, nor first place. I prepared for entire 1 year to speak for the 2 minutes and it didn't work. So what do? You give up? No, you try again next term. And next year I tried again. Next year, same thing. You win, and you gain at the finals. Some familiar faces again. They were two the winners. I said, this time what will happen? Again, a good friend told me, relax, it's okay. It's just a contest, enjoy. This time I took this seriously. I decided to enjoy. Went on the stage and the topic was law and order is an illusion. I was excited. I'm known for breaking rules. I spoke about things. I spoke about breaking rules as a kid, growing up, trying things and everything. And this time I walked on feeling great. I had a feeling that it doesn't matter I win or not. I know I had a good time. I can see audience had a good time. That's what really mattered. And things changed and the dream came true. When the dream came true, I became the 2019 champion of District 102 in Malacca. And that was nice. And people like, it was just 2.5 minute speech. I said, yes. Just like Usain Bolt said, I practiced 4 years every single day for hours to run for 9 seconds. I tell people I practiced almost every other day for 4 years to do a speech for 2.5 minutes. That's what. And you know what's the fun part? After 8 years, people come and say, I remember what you shared. Deep down, I don't remember everything I shared. And people say, I remember you on the stage. And that's what I know, the 2 minutes of table topics can make an impact on someone's life. And that's what I want to share, because your 1 minute and your 2 minutes can literally change somebody's life. Don't take it easy, seriously, but take it in a very touching. The first important element is to listen. I know earlier Susan was talking about listening and other things, and I believe that that's a very important question. When I talk about listening, we don't listen just to the voice and the words, we also listen or try to understand the intent behind the person asking the question. It's hard, but it's possible. Sometimes we listen from their body language. We try to read the body language. Does the person really want to ask a question? What's the point? And when we try to understand that part, we are able to gauge. Like, for example, those who are married, if your spouse says that, hey, let's go out for dinner. And then they say, sure, what do you want to eat? I don't know. Why don't you suggest? The answer is you don't suggest it. You take them to their favorite food. Simple as that. Because your listening is not what you want to eat. It's about where you think we will have a good time. Let's go. And that's where you learn how impromptu speaking helps when you're able to listen. When you're able to listen, we move into next things. We move into fear. Now, these are the 4 fatal fears, which I believe every one of us has it. I have it, not just one, more than one. And there are times we change. And we have to realize that you have to tell me what is your fear after I explain them. Number 1, fear of making a mistake. So I believe anybody in this room haven't made a mistake yet. If not, okay, no hands up except the timer. So everybody made a mistake. Good to know that. What happens is that we make mistakes, but we still are afraid to make mistakes. And because why? Because we haven't learned from it. And one of the things in impromptu speaking is that you will never have a perfect speech. Accept that. You will never have a perfect answer. And when you accept that, you're able to have the confidence say, that's what came on the top of my mind at that particular moment. So I'm going to speak about that. I'm going to speak even though it may not be the perfect speech, but that's okay. I'll speech. So whenever somebody asks you a table topics question or any question, two answers come to your top of the mind. First comes from your instinct. I should talk about it. Second comes a reasonable answer. Guess what? Instinct is the one you truly belong to. Speak that in right words, with right conviction. And even though it's a mistake, it might be a mistake, you know that that's how you truly believe it. When you come with the right answers, we go to the making more mistakes. Second part of the fear is that fear of losing, which I had. I felt that I'll be losing the contest the first time. Second time, I didn't care about it. Very often when we are replying or in table topics or public speaking, we want to be right kind of a speaker. We want to be a speaker who is perfect in many ways. But that's a problem. Why? Because you'll never be one. We'll never be one. So one of the best speakers in the world, there are people who can still find mistakes in them and they are still things to improve. And the thing is that ability to know that, hey, it's okay to lose. In contest or anyway, it's okay. It's not a race, it's a growth journey. Third fear is a fear of rejection. Sometimes we feel that if our responses are not appropriate, we will get rejected. Let me tell you, the answer is yes, you will get rejected. And it's not because of your answer, it's because of the way the person is looking at you. It's nothing to do with you most of the times. It's the way they have their own perceptions and own way of looking at it. And it's okay that your responses are getting rejected. Sometimes we do get rejected, but the fear is the one which is holding. And sometimes even before we get rejected, we're holding to the fear and we don't try our best. What if try our best, then you get rejected? That's okay. Instead of holding the fear and not even trying with the fear of rejection. And the final is fear of criticism. Let me tell you, this is one of the things I joined Toastmasters. Why? You get criticized in a constructive manner every meeting. That's something I love. I'm a trainer and a speaker. There are times I do trainings 2 days, 3 days. Guess what? People are excited. They go back 2 weeks later, half of them forget what they talked about. That's what happens. Not everybody put into practice. 2 months later, they remember you, they don't remember what you shared about it. A year later, they know, I know you, I have no idea. I remember the joke you shared. They have no idea what you shared. But in Toastmasters, we have constructive criticism right at the end of the meeting. And that's what I love about Toastmasters. And if you are willing to that, overcome the 3 fears and able to accept the 4th fear, we truly grow in Toastmasters. So let me ask you in this group, which is your fear? Can I have answers in some chat boxes? Which is your fear? Out of these 4. If you have a 5th one, I'm okay with that. Okay, Sonia, mostly all. Yeah, we all have it. Let's say the primary one, mistake. Okay, 1 to 4. All right, we're making a mistake. Yes. Right. Okay, most of us is mistake. We all do have all of it. Yes. And very often that fear changes from people to people, community to community. Among some communities, or certain workplaces, or in some other places, we have a fear of making mistakes because of the people around it. And other places, we might have fear of rejection. It might change. That's the reason we have more than one. And that's the reason I love Toastmasters, because it has a community where you can be confident that among all these fears, we will not be put down. We will still be encouraged to try and try again till we grow. That's one thing I love about Toastmasters. Yes, we do have a fear that speech is not well organized. Well, Mariana, let me tell you that every time you do a speech, there'll be somebody telling you you can do better organization. And that's how we learn. Yes, and there's a fear of criticism. Okay, now let's talk about a few things. In public speaking, we all have fear. It's called fear. Public speaking is the greatest fear. Let's overcome that fear in next few minutes, what we can do. Things which we can focus. This is the word either. I'm sure you heard of M&Ms. So I thought of this one is something everybody can remember. M&Ms. Every speech has a matter and manner. Every one of you, you have your strength in either of it. We have both. We definitely have both of it. But some of you are so good with content. You love reading, you love watching things, and you remember things. You are the people, anything somebody says, you remember the quotes, the idioms, you have sayings, phrases, the nice words. The vocabulary is part of it, the way you construct the story. That's called matter. The way you build the story, the examples you give, the illustrations, the anecdotes, you have the strength. Some people are manner. They walk in, they smile, they look at people, they have no idea what they're going to talk about, but they're confident. And they just bring it on. Their hand gestures move, the eye movement, and the gestures are flying all over. And you don't even care what they're talking about, but they seem to be so excited on stage. That's fine. They are the manner people. I am one of those manner people. You can see me, I'm moving everywhere around. And I'm excited about any time of the day. Why? So when I came to Toastmaster, I had to learn matter. Why? Because end of 7-minute speech, people like, so what was your point? I had no idea what we were talking about. What great story. I had no idea what was the message. What great story. Love the voice. Okay, so what was my point? So I had to learn the matter. So we have to understand whatever is your primary strength, focus on that, but don't forget the other part, because these two have to go together. Just like M&Ms, it doesn't matter what color, they all taste the same. And that's why we need both of it. But one is your inbuilt strength. Focus on growing them. So identify what is your major strength. Very simple. Every time people say, hey, great story, great opening, great structure, that's a matter. People say, great voice, great gesture, the way you moved on stage, the eye contact, that's a manner. So leverage on that, but don't neglect the other. That's one thing we need to identify where we are. Second thing, anybody to Oreos? So I'm going to share a little bit about Oreo. That's something I learned. Becky's really excited. She's like, hey, it's evening time. You're talking about M&Ms, you're talking about Oreo. What's next? Pineapples? No pancakes. So this is what is Oreo all about. Every time any table topics comes to you, state your opinion. State your opinion. It's not about right or wrong opinion. It's state your opinion. And sometimes you can state your opinion in Toastmasters based on what you think that. For example, if somebody says that, what do you think more important, health or wealth? Majority will say health, right? But if you want to stand up front, you said, I think wealth is important. Well, what do you mean? Yes, I'm in 20s, wealth is important. When I'm in 30s, I'll be okay. I'll take care of my health. When I'm 40s, health is way, way more important. When I'm 50s, trust me, no time for wealth. It's purely health. But now I'm in 20s, it's the wealth. It's a perspective. If somebody comes and tells you that, tell me your favorite book. Okay, let me ask Mary. She talked about a book yesterday. Mary, what's your favorite book?
Since that's the best in my mind right now, because it was yesterday, I would say You Can Heal Your Life.
Okay, all right. Let me ask somebody else. Let me ask Sonia. Sonia, what's your favorite book?
The Land by Dr. Alaron Kang.
Right. And I'm sure both of them can speak a few minutes to an hour about the favorite book. But what if the question comes to you, what's your favorite book? And your response is that my favorite book is not been written yet because I haven't started writing it yet. And when I write, it's going to be my life, my story, my perception, and that will be my favorite book. So my favorite book is in future. I'll let you know when it's ready. See, that's a perspective, and that is your opinion. When you have your opinion, then you move to your reason. Like I gave a reason why it's not written yet, but why it's my favorite. Hello, I'm the author. Trust me, it will be much better than John Maxwell or Anthony Robbins or Robin Sharma because it's my book. It may not be $1 million book, but trust me, if I'm writing a book, that's going to be my favorite book ever. It's going to be next to me. But you have your reason. When you're given your reason, give an example. What will be in the book? Why health is more important than wealth, or wealth is more important than health. When you're given your examples, that's where it becomes more interesting. And then come back to your opinion, restate it, and then close it up in a very nice statement or a saying or a message and say, that's the reason I believe in this opinion, but that's the reason I'm against this opinion. That's the reason I have a third opinion. You can have third opinion. You don't have to always agree with an opinion or the question. And that's one of the techniques. Another technique is past, present, future. In any travel topics, we always go with past, present, future. You can come up with, hey, when I was young, that's what I think. Today, that's what I am. tomorrow. That's what I want to do. So people see the timeline in your story. That's another technique in table topics. Third is cause effect solution. Health, wealth. If I have more money, this will happen. That's my solution. If I have better, if I focus on my health, I'm healthy, this will be effect. That's a solution. And that's how you structure your speech around cause, effect, and solution. Everybody wants a solution, end of your speech. Another way of table topics is pros and cons. So health, wealth. But let me tell you something. Well, what about the combination of it? All day I work for wealth, mornings and evenings I take care of my health. I'm taking a combination of it and say there's a pros and cons of doing this, doing that. What is more important, offline meeting, online meeting, pros and cons? Why do you prefer? What do I prefer? And that's where you come from, your perspective, because your perspective is something nobody can beat. The most important, I believe in Toastmasters, is to discover you. But that's something you don't get it everywhere. Very often people want you for who you are, but in this Toastmasters community, I feel I discovered my strengths and people help you to see your strengths. And as you discover yourself, you will learn to do greater things. You learn to speak from your expertise. Remember, what you have the expertise, what you have the experience, nobody can beat that. Your perspective, nobody can speak from that perspective. Speak from your expertise, speak from your experience, and your stories, your speeches will be amazing. And finally, remember, each one of us, we have a story. Why? We have a story. We see the same thing, but we have different stories. So tell your stories to people because people love to listen to stories and perspectives. Tell your stories in table topics. I believe every table topics, take a minute to tell the story before you make a point, or make a point, tell the story. And that's how you do, because I believe that in every story, there is a message, and the message in you will need to hear that. That makes the great table topics. That makes the great speeches, because the message is there in you, hidden somewhere. Bring it out, share, and that's how we change the way. So ladies and gentlemen, towards the end, I want to leave up with this quote. Goals may give you focus, but dreams give power. So let your impromptu speaking, either methods you use, make sure they are the ones inspiring people to speak, inspiring people to listen to your stories and changing their lives. So thank you so much for this opportunity, and back to you, Susan.
Thank you so very much. We'd like to entertain a 10-minute Q&A for you if anybody should have questions for you. Our timer has their hand raised already, so if anybody else has a question, just raise your hand in the reactions down below in the Zoom, and we can then start asking questions. Padma, you have a question?
Yes. Thank you so much for the wonderful speech. My question is, in an impromptu speech table topics, you have so little time to start your speech. Can you give us some guidelines on how we can quickly decide which of these techniques to use?
Okay. Whenever you hear a topic, few thoughts come top of your mind. 2 or 3 thoughts easily come. See which is closest to your heart. Start with that story. Because if it came first thing on your top of your mind, you have a story, you have a reason, you have an example, you have an illustration in your mind already. It's already there. As you start speaking on it, it will follow you. Speak with first thought, which you strongly believe comes to you, and as you speak, it will follow. It will take some time to be more organized along the way. And what is one of the best practices that even you've done the speech, come back and say, how else I could have started? What could I have done differently? Reflect and make few more versions of the same speech. And then next time you're able, different topic, you have better opening and better exposure. Hope that helps.
Thank you, Sri. Dee Marie, next question.
Yes, I wanted to ask, how much weight do you think that vulnerability from the speaker adds to the story that they're telling?
It's crucial, and it's important, it's needed, as long as the speaker is comfortable with an audience. Because I realize that with some audience, you may not want to be that vulnerable because you may not trust them, you know, may not know every one of them. So it all depends. Because if you're comfortable with them, yes, go ahead, share your life. You can be transparent as long as you're able to give the context of your life and make the point. Why not? I have told stories about my parenthood, my job issues, my marriage, and different other things around because I knew the audience. Sometimes not really, because the most important thing in any speech is that know your audience and see if your speech really matters to them or not. I'm not going to talk about my marriage or my parenthood to a group of students. It may not connect to them. But I'm going to talk about how I failed or how I learned when I was studying, or the mistakes I did as a teenager. It perfectly connects with them. So I'm vulnerable at the same time, but the right amount of information is appropriate for that group of audience. That helps.
Thank you, Sri. Next up, I have Gopal.
Yes.
Oh, hi. That was a wonderful session, though. I loved. I took few notes. I have a question related to you talked about stories, the examples, using examples, the reasons behind. You provided some techniques saying that use opinion, tell your opinion, and then use reasons and examples. So my question is, in order to prepare for any impromptu speaking, not just the table topics in Toastmasters, but any impromptu speaking in generally, do you have to create a repository of stories, examples, incidents that happen in your life, so that you are prepared, you thought through all those things beforehand, so that you can use it anywhere, wherever the opportunity exists?
Yes, we should definitely have that. And I believe that every story can have different message. I give you simple. Our in-program politics director, CP Lau, is in the room. And I remember we met for lunch because I was rushing in the morning for another online meeting. I forgot to put down my window. After 4 hours, we were going back to the car. Then I realized I forgot to put down the window. So that's a story. If I were to do a speech on forgetfulness, I will use a speech. If I were to do a speech on mindfulness, that's a speech I can use as some speech. If I were to do a speech or being don't care attitude, I can use the speech that I didn't care at that moment. I was rushing. If I want to do a speech on time planning or time management, I can use the same story. If I've been earlier, I would have made sure that my windows are up instead of leaving down for 4 hours, and thank God nothing was stolen. If I want to do a speech of kindness of people who didn't steal anything from my car, I can do that. It's a safe parking space. Leave your car, windows down for 4 or 5 hours, and nobody stole anything. We live in a nice country combination, a nice parking space. Same story, 5 different perspectives. So you can choose what you want to use when. But yes, every day, a lot of incidents happen. Collect your stories, learn from them, and say, hey, what can I do? And the best is that whatever happened this week, try to use it somewhere next week. Then improvise it and use the same story with a different message another place. A month later, some other place. And then you realize that that's the best fit message for that story. And that becomes your key story at one point. I hope that helps. Go.
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you, Sri. Next up, we have Suhani.
Hey, hi, Srinivas. Hey, I really liked your speech. Just like Gopal, I also took notes and really insightful, and hopefully I can use it. So my question is, so in table topics specifically, when the topic is given, how much time is the appropriate amount of time to think about a topic before speaking on it? Because generally what happens with me is that when you're giving the topic, I am in rush of speaking, so that I don't know when to actually, like, whatever comes, and not even processing it and making it up in a sequence of events so that it is presented properly. So how much time is the time to do that? Is the right time to do that?
In Toastmasters, there is no fixed answer for that. But my response is that 3 to 5 seconds is good. Why do I say that? Because longer you take, the audience is expecting high They have high expectations. They're like, you better come with, I waited 30 seconds. You better come with a much better story or much better speech. If it's 5 seconds, it's fine. 3 to 5 seconds is a fair enough, I would say, a good time to come up. Because you know why? As the saying says, analysis is paralysis. If you're thinking too much, story 1, story 2, story 3, this example, trying to create the entire speech in your mind, that's prepared speech, not impromptu speech. So I would say 3 to 5 seconds is a decent amount for that.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah.
We are at green, so we do have a few moments for questions. Next up, I see Tina Smith. Tina, we're not able to hear you.
Go over past, present, and future again
Sorry?
as a method.
Past, present, and future. Okay. For example, I'm doing a speech and somebody says that, hey, speech about your dream. Then I said, when I was young, I wanted to be a garbage collector when I was 5. Why? Because those guys hung around, they shined, they were hanging around, swinging. It was so glamorous. You know, they are like the real heroes walking around. I grew up and realized that, nah, that's not what I want to be. And I saw people in offices. I wanted to be a boxer because they were the celebrities, right? Then I said, hey, today I'm this. And future, this is what I want to be. So I connect my past, present, future, and then I come and say, hey, this is what I feel among all these threes. What I want to do is that I want to be a person who wants to be a friend of you, who wants to be a friendly neighbor, who wants to be a kind person or helpful person. That's my point. Whatever I want to be. But there's something I want to be in past, something I want to be present, something in future, but it all connects to one message. That is me. That's how I connect speech. Right. That helps you.
Thank you, Sri. We have one more question, and that is from Yiming.
Hi, Srinivas. Thanks for your speech. My question is, how do you handle a very difficult question? Like for 5 minutes, for 5 seconds, your mind is blank.
Yes. There are some questions for 15 seconds you're blank. And the thing is that what I've learned from is that sometimes the questions are so hard that you're not able to click what can I say about it? You have no stories, you have no illustrations, you're like, I have no idea. Half of the words, I don't even know how to explain those words. Choose one word from the entire question or topic. Just choose one word which you're familiar with. Right? And when you choose the one word, speak about it. Go around it. And sometimes we have to face it and say, that was a great topic. I'm impressed and I'm lost and I'm confused and I don't know what to say. But let me tell you what I get from that topic. I see the word articulate. Let me say, what do I understand about articulate? So you're honest, you're upfront, and you highlight that, yes, you didn't get the entire thing. That's okay. But you bring up what you get it and choose that 1 or 2 or 3 words from the entire topic and bring it up and connect it and make it. Just give me 30 more seconds. I was asked a question about a Chinese tradition in Malaysian Toastmasters Club. I had no idea about the tradition. I have never heard of the tradition. I looked around and said, thank you. Great question. I have no idea because I'm neither Chinese nor Malaysian. Let me tell you traditions from India. And I talked about all the traditions of India. That's it. And people are like, okay. And I won the best table topics that evening. Why? Nothing to do with the question, but I hold the word tradition and I made the entire speech there. And that's how we can face the elephant in the room by being who we are and accepting that. Hope that helps you.
Thank you, Sri. Please, everybody, give him a great big round of applause. We do have a certificate to share for you, if I can get it to open. Yeah, it was open a moment ago. I'm sorry, I have a certificate. Hold on, please. I know it's here. Bear with me. Now I've got to get back to Zoom. Yeah, technical. Some of us are better at it than others, I'll admit. Share screen, we have a presentation and it's not showing. Why not? Not. It's not showing.